Welcome to Let's Create a JSON2Record Function. Hey, I'm Eric, and in a sister episode to this one, we created a record to JSON function. In this episode, we're gonna create the opposite. So if we have a piece of JSON, can we create a record variable from that? And there's no time like the present, so let's just get started right away. This is basically where we left off the last time. We created a rec to JSON that took a variant and returned a JSON object. So I guess what we would want to do now is basically create a Json2Rec function that clearly take a JSON object and returns a variant. But we probably need to do more than this, because we kind of need to tell this function needs to know what table are we working on. So we could, and that might be just the simplest. So do a table number integer. We could also pass another variant and then get the table number out of that. And so you could pass in a rec. Well, let's figure that out, which one is best. So in this case, if we pass a table number, we would clearly need a record ref again. We'll call that record ref, and that can be opened just by using the table number parameter. If we passed in, let's actually try that out for a second. So if we procedure, maybe that's an overload. Actually, that would be cool. How about we create an overload to this? So if we do procedure Json2Rec, still takes a JSON object, but takes a variant, then returns another variant. So you would think that, hey, but if we're passing a variant to give you the type, why can't we just pass the result in that one? And that's a great question, but this, you cannot pass a record to this. This is really weird. So if we have just this variant, we can pass a record in place of this. If we do var, then we have to pass a variant. So we have to create a variant on the outside, and then, hey, then we are in the same spot as we used to. So in this case, what we would do is also create a ref here, record ref, and then we'll do a ref.getTable from the variant, and then we can do a exit and call Json2Rec, pass the object, pass ref.number, that's the table number. So we have the first overload. So this function, this overload, simply calls this one, which will be our main function. So now we are actually supporting two different. Oh, it's pretty cool. Okay, so Json2Rec. So if you remember, if you've seen the other video, otherwise I suggest subscribing. Your life will be better, the sun will shine more, and all that good stuff if you subscribe. And you will know that we created a function down here that basically, let's make this a tad bigger, came up with whatever algorithm I decided on the day to take a field name and turn that into a JSON key. So if we want the same, kind of logic, what I think we have, I think we'll need to create a field field, what should we call it? Field hash, how about that? And create a dictionary of text to integer, meaning that we want to be able to look up a text and get the field number. So actually the first thing we need to do is populate this guy. So if we go here, and probably need an integer. You always need an integer when you're working with FieldRefs. So we can do a for I, wow, man. I equal 1 to ref dot field count. Do begin, and then we will do, we need a field ref also. I can feel it, call it fr for field ref. Then we'll do field ref is equal ref dot field index. So now when we're looping through all the fields that are in our record ref, we use the field index if we know. So we'll just get the first, the second, the third field, whatever field number they are. We could also, if we use the field function, then, you know, this, this would get field number 21, not the 21st field. Anyway, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to do field, wow, then I'm undoing to all my typos here. We're going to do field index. So now we should be able to say field hash, field hash dot add. And what did we call our function out here? We call it get JSON field name. And we want to index the field number. Oh, hang on, there's probably need some sort of parameters here. FR, there you go. Okay, so now we have created a lookup table saying that, okay, these are the names that we would expect to have in our JSON. And we can now figure out from the, so let's find our JSON again here, it's somewhere. So here is the JSON we created. So even though, remember that's, but our function said, so it kind of just took letters and numbers, and otherwise it turned everything as underscore, but we also replaced double underscores with a single underscore, and we removed underscore at the beginning and at the end of the file. So the name, so like it's not name underscore, it's just no. Sorry, it's not no underscore, it's just no. And cases where we had weird characters that turned into more than one underscore, that was replaced with just a single underscore. But by creating this, where are we? By creating this field hash, a dictionary, we can now look up, we can take a key in the JSON and look up what field number that has to go into. So that is pretty good. So now we know that. Then we can start looking into, well, we should probably initialize our record here. But now we can use for each actually. So and then we probably need another, let's call that for K, for key, or we could call it JSON key to be a little more. For each JSON key in, and what do we call JSON object dot, and then there's actually a, you see this one? Keys. So this one will return a list of all the keys. And since it's a list, we can do for each. So now we're running through all the keys that are, so here's an important fact, knowledge bit, whatever we call it, about JSON, that in reality there's no order. There might be an order, but there might not be an order of the fields in a JSON. So for that aspect, we do not want to be dependent on whatever sequence the fields are inside the JSON. So this works fine. And now we have a key, so we should be able to do fr equal, this is interesting here, fr equal ref dot field this time. But now we want to do field hash dot get JSON key. Okay, let me explain that. So we need to get the field ref. So inside the record ref, if we want to work on a field, we need to get a field ref. And now we know the key from the JSON. So for instance, if we got contact, so if JSON key contains contact, then we go to the field hash and say, okay, let's look up the entry for contact, which we build up here. So from that, we actually got the field number, which is then returned to the field, meaning that fr is now the field ref to the contact field. And well, we're not, so let's do one more thing here, because now we actually need to get, so we just got the key, so we also need the value. So we need, so we can do something like this. We can say if, maybe we want to do this outside here. Let's see. So if JSON object dot get JSON key. Well, we know it's there, but get always want to return a boolean if it succeeds or not, and the value is put into a token parameter anyway. So we need also to create I usually just call them T because they're also scattered over the place. So JSON token. JSON token is a chameleon data type that can be a JSON object, can be a JSON array, can be a JSON value. But since we are getting something in a JSON, we don't know what we're actually getting. We could get another object, we could get a value, or we could get an array. So we would need to do the make sure that what we're getting is actually something that makes sense. So now we can say that if T is value. So did we get a value? Well, in that case, I'm just adding begin ends to everything because I'm not quite sure how much going to happen inside them. We can always clean that up when we get older. So now we know that this is a value, so we can actually do call it JSON value and say JSON value here if we want to make this very nice. So we can say JSON val equal T as value. We could also just work with the token, but I find those often become like temporary because there's a lot of operations on tokens. So this is, and maybe we want to actually, so let's call it key value. So we have a JSON key value. How about that? That looks nice. So now we have a value, we have the field, so we need to put the value into the field. So how do we do that? And maybe since this function is already getting more than a screen, let's create another function called what about assign value to FieldRef. So we will pass the FieldRef, and then we will pass the JSON key value. That is pretty good. Let's see if there's a AL code actions action create the function. That is pretty slick. If you don't know how I did that, what I did is that I installed this guy, and that enables me to get a code action. Then we can actually undo. You see here, so the compiler is saying, hey, this doesn't exist. But then we get this little thing here that's saying, hey, there is actually a code action available. So create the function. It passes the FieldRef. It passes the JSON value. We want to var transfer this one because that's the one we are working on. Okay, so what do we do in here? Well, we need to think about types. So how do you assign a value to a FieldRef? Well, you have basically one option to do this right. You have to do, you can of course do a, not validate, sorry. You can have to do this right. Sorry, that was where I got totally sidetracked. So you can assign something to field value, FieldRef.value, but you see, this is weird here. If our value that was never a date, was it? Oh man. Let's see if we can, how about this? Is that a date? Oh, let's ignore this. I'm not able to type a date constant. Anyway, the problem here, that value is a joker, as you can see. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we are assigning the right type, and what we can do, and that's what the easiest way is to, let's simply do case FieldRef.type, because FieldRef call the type of the field. So if we look at that, then we could also no, we couldn't. I was just about to say, because the JSON value has all these, what do you call it? Sorry, JSON key value has all these great is something. Sorry, not is, as, but no, we can't. We gotta work on this guy. We gotta work on FieldRef's type. So we could start by doing FieldRef.type : I actually prefer to type field type : code, and field type : text. In this case, so now we know code and text, and which we can deal with the same way, because whether we are passing one of the other, we are basically doing the same thing. So now we can say FieldRef value equal, and then we should JSON key value as text. Bingo. Let's do another one. Field type integer. I'm not going to do everyone this, because then we'll never get to it. So in this case, value equal JSON key value as integer. That is pretty nice. Let's do field type date and do FieldRef value equal JSON key value as date. So that is pretty nice. And now we could just, so we don't break anything, then we could say error. What I'm gonna do, we could say is not a supported field type, and then we'll do fr.type. How about that? So make sure that that we don't eat some and do something stupid here. So what do we have? Let's go back for a second. Go back up top. See if I forgot something. So Json2Rec. We take a JSON object. We take a table number. Maybe we should. How about we try this? So instead of what we did here, let's create a JSON object dot read from, and let's create a JSON object here, and we can say that how about we just grab these two for now, put them in here. So we'll call this 999. Name is YouTube demo. So now we have a JSON object, so we can go. Let's do C. Hang on. C equal. And our library is called JSON. So we have now a Json2Rec function, and we can see that we have two overloads. So we'll pass. Wow, what did I do here? We'll pass our JSON object, and then we will pass a record to define that, hey, we're actually reading into a customer, and we're returning a variant, so we're putting that into C. So let's then just put this on screen, format C. So when you put a format on a record, you get all the fields in the record as tab separated. So that's an easy way to look at the stuff. Let's put a breakpoint and run this baby. Success. Well, that's not a guarantee that anything works. Let's see what happens here. We got our breakpoint. That's pretty good. So we have a JSON object here with number and name. So we go into our function here. We get the table, and then we actually go into the other one. So we have a table number which hopefully should be 18. So this is good. So now you see field hash is empty. So we get the first field here. See if we can get something in. Let's see if we can fr. So you can type a variable name down here, and sometimes FieldRefs are apparently not that helpful. Let's add it to the hash. You can see now we're just going through this. So if we do field hash down here, let's see what we're getting. Number is 1, name is 2, search name is 3. You see this is formatted the same way we have here. So that's pretty good. We're building up this hash table. So I'm just going to put a breakpoint here. There we go. And if we do field hash again, we have every single field in the customer table. Move the mouse. So that is pretty good. So now we're going to do for each JSON key. So now we got a JSON key, then we got the number, and we have a, let's see what T is. So T is a value. I can't remember I think this will tell us that it's a value here. So that's pretty good. So far so good. So if is value, that should hopefully be true. Then JSON key value, let's try that again. So JSON key value, that's still perfect. And now we got a FieldRef, but I still don't think we are able to get anything useful. Yeah, there we go. So this is actually the number field on the customer. So this is perfect. So let's go into this guy. So case type of text. So let's look at FR again. Wow, that's weird. Field lower f capital R defined on type blah 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 is not a field in the target object blah blah blah. That is weird. Anyway, we got a value. I think, well, let's take the, the wins. That's a W. We got the value in here, but this error from the debugger, I've never seen that before. Microsoft gets angry when I say something is a bug, but I don't know what else to say to that one. Okay, sorry. So this is good. So we're out of this one. And we get the next one. So T is now the name, and if R is the name, okay. So we're out of this one. I'll just hit F5 now. And I think we got an error at the very end. Let's see. Anyone care to? If you have been yelling at the screen, then this is a very, very typical Eric bug here. First time. Let's actually. So what we're gonna do here is, we are going to create a rec var. We never returned anything from this function. So let's do a rec var dot get table, I guess, right? So actually rec var set table from ref, and then exit rec var. No, I think we're gonna do rec var equal ref. Let's try that. Let's see if that works. I completely forgot to take that into account when I thought about variants this way. If you haven't seen the video on variants, there's also a video on variants, just to to keep you entertained. Let's just run through the whole thing, and that worked. So now you can see that these are all the fields on the customer card. Most of them are empty, but the two fields that we actually put a value into are right here. So that is pretty good. Let's just, now I just took the first two. So let's do something a bit more. I don't know. What do we want? Invoice copies. How about that? That sounds like a number, doesn't it? let's see what happens here. So we add that to our JSON. That hang on. Is this fancy selection? Oh, all three are selected. How did I do that? Huh. Invoice copy, that's needs a lot of 9s here. And we got a lot of 9s. So I think the basic framework here is working. And I see it passed on half an hour. So so right now there's lots of things that we could improve on this function. So getting data out of Business Central from rec to JSON is way easier than getting data into Business Central. So right now, if we look at this function, what we did is that we just, we're creating a new record, and then from the library perspective, we're not doing anything, but we're just filling out all the fields with a value. There's no validation, there's no order of processing and stuff like that. So one option could be, and that would probably be another video. Let me know if you actually want to watch that video. That would be that we would actually take this thing and read into a different, probably also a dictionary of some sort, a different structure with all the values in, and then we could go through our record ref and take all the fields in the primary key and assign values to them, insert the record. Then we could go through the other fields we have in, let's say, field number order. After we have gotten all the values out of the JSON, we could run through them in field number order and then actually validate them. We also need to consider stuff like if you're going to put a value into a flow field, that's not really gonna serve any purpose, and so on. There's also in this, by the way, there's also the blobs and media fields going to and from, let's say, base 64. That could be another video. Let me know if that's interesting. Anyway, I think I have used up all your time on this topic, and I truly enjoyed that you wanted to watch this, and let me know in the comments what type of videos you want to see otherwise. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and if you're getting bored, this video, that's a good one. See you later.